Well, thank you for coming. I'm excited about this park. Once we got that park in Montana, we were kind of on the lookout for a second one. And then, funny story, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Let's see. Also, if you do have questions, just put them in the chat anytime, and then I'll catch up with them. So I tweeted this on June 27th, and not thinking anything of it. It was just something to tweet that day. And I ranked this park that we're talking about as number four, having no ties, no connection to it. And then a couple hours after this tweet, I got an email from the owners of it. And these are guys that I had spoken with on Zoom before. We had emailed a few times about other RV park stuff, and they were the owners of it. So just kind of a crazy coincidence that I knew nothing about this park when I tweeted about it, and then later that day, we were talking about buying it, and now it's under contract. So, according to Chris Kerner, it's the fourth most beautiful park in the United States. But disclosure, I did not do very much research for this tweet. I just wanted to tweet something. So, it is a beautiful park, though. Just kind of a crazy coincidence. So, I'm going to start with the broker's deck that they sent us originally because there's a lot of good info in there that is not in our deck. So, this park is really unique for a couple reasons. The biggest reason it's unique is that it is a KOA holiday. Now, KOA has three tiers. They have resort, holiday, and then I can't remember what was the third one. Uh, Journey, holiday, and resort. So this is like middle of the pack KOA, which is just it's based on how many amenities they have and how expensive it is. So it's a really, really nice park. You've got mini golf, pool, volleyball, cabins, tent sites, pads, expansion plans for 64 more pads. And of course, you can see beautiful Flathead Lake just right down the road. So in going over this, the sales price was 5.8. We bought it for 5.5, which is almost a 10 cap. 9.5, 5.8. So it's basically a 10 cap, which is awesome, especially considering the fact that it comes with 10 individually deeded pads that we have the right, that will be transferred over to us at close and that we have the right to resell. More specifically, six of the 10, which are valued at about $150,000 each, will be included in the purchase price and transferred to us. And four of the 10 are not included in the purchase price, but we will have the right to buy them for around $150,000 each after close, should we want to. And so that little quirk about this park is the main reason why the sellers and the broker really kept this on the hush hush. They were afraid that the HOA committee, the people that either own these 10 lots or that have the right to buy them, would like pitch a fit and try to vote together. So they do require a 90% vote to basically say, no, you can't buy these from us, which is, it would be extremely hard to do, but it would be easier to do if they all knew that the park was being sold. And so, although this is listed with a broker, it was not listed online. And they were very, very, very adamant to me. Do not tweet about this. Do not talk about this. There's really only downside. So, when I upload the recording of this, it will be marked as private on YouTube. And I ask that you please try to keep it private. Once we're out of the due diligence phase and our earnest money is hard, they don't mind as much that we talk about it. But I still won't be tweeting about it. And we've been kind of asking around, talking to our investors, and we don't think we'll have problems raising money for it anyway. So there's really not a need to tweet about it. So anyway, this is a park, and I'm sure you'll have questions about that. So go ahead and ask them in the chat, and I will get to them. So swimming pool, hot tub, pavilion, kitchen area, dog run, basketball, volleyball courts, Wi-Fi, laundry. It's got a ton of amenities, um, and a lot of this. I can send this to you, by the way. I don't think you have this, but I'm happy to send it so you can read it. I just don't want to waste time reading it verbatim. It is an interesting park because it's not seasonal. It's open year round. So it is seasonal in the sense that the occupancy goes way down in the wintertime. But unlike, Moose Creek, we close for 6 months a year, whereas this is open all year. So it's kind of unique in that way. And even though it's only an hour and a half away from Glacier, the climate is actually quite a bit different here. It's a little more favorable to a year-round park. So I want to show you a couple quick drone videos just so you can see what it looks like. Polson is a really nice town. There is an airport right there, which we were immediately worried about, but we went through and read all the reviews, and there's no complaints about the airport. It's really only small planes flying in and a very low quantity of planes. So it's a non-issue from what we understand. Mm, mm, mm. I assume you can still see my screen here. It's just very well maintained. Of course, if it is a KOA, then it is held to a certain standard, which helps make things easier to maintain. There's some accountability there. And also the KOA rights, basically the franchise licensing rights are expiring in a year and a half, 2026. And so we will have the option, should we choose to not pay them 6% of top line revenue and just do our own thing. So I'm not sure what we'll do because we do like KOA, but it's widely dependent on the location. Uh, Certain parts of the country, KOA doesn't have as strong of a brand name or a reputation, but they're still there. For instance, the park in Shreveport that we just closed on, it started as a KOA because they have a 6 month clause where you can cancel if you don't like it. He started as a KOA and didn't really think that they were bringing much business to him, and so he canceled. And he's done great ever since. But then we have a couple other parks that are KOAs that do really well, and we're able to attribute a lot of bookings from them. Um, all right. All right. So that's just quick drone and picture. Um, Nightly rates are in line with the area. There is room to increase them a little bit, but not a ton. Occupancy ranges between, you know, 30% in the wintertime to 100% in peak summer. It's not 100% all the time in the summer every year, but it has been increasing year over year over year. The occupancy has been getting better. Um, the reason that the seller is selling this park is because they have a capital partner that does not like the idea of having individually deeded parcels. They've got a bunch of other parks in their portfolio, and none of them have that except this one. And so they're trying to clean up their portfolio. So there's just some pictures of it. And once again, I will send this all to you. Trying to see on this map where Moose Creek is. I believe it's closer up there. And then this is the expansion plan, 64 pads. This has already been drawn up. And what's really nice about this is it's all city utilities, so we don't need to do much. It's going to be a much more affordable per pad expansion plan than what we're normally used to. Because water and sewer are city, so we're just going to be able to plug right into that. We already have the approvals, and there are no tiny home plans in this, but we will be adding some more cabins and tiny homes because we've been having a ton of success with those at our other Montana park. So you're right down the road from the lake. There's a place to paddleboard, and there's restaurants right down the road. Just a nice area, and that's too hard to see on a screen share. So you can look at that when we're done. Those are comps for rent. See, we're right here at the top, 87 to 119 a night. Now, this one, the Polson Motor Coach Resort, those are the 10 pads that are on site. Okay. So that is not a competing park. We are buying both of these. And the KOA is basically the parent in this situation with the rights over this one. So those 10 pads are very, very nice. They're well built out. And so they command a lot more per night. So yeah, according to this, you're like we're on the low end. compared to the 10 pads that are right there on site. And we're on the higher end compared to competing parks. But these are quite a ways away, 12 to 25 miles. And the only other one on the lake is Eagle's Nest right there. Um, yeah, that's just area information. So I'll send that out. And then if we go to, I want to go to Google Maps first. So you can see here, there's two Google Maps listings. The Motor Coach Resort are the 10 pads. It's 4.5 stars out of from 81 people. And then this one is the 51 pads, 4.4 stars from 300 people. So same business, two different Google Maps listings. Um, that's what it looks like. Believe the resort lots are right up here in the front. They've got a better view of the lake. They have more amenities built up around them. It's a better location altogether. And you've got the airport right there and the lake just right down there. Um, this is the website for the Motor Coach Resort. You can see it's not KOA branded. When you click to book, it's just kind of a janky contact us form. And then this is the website for the other pads. It's KOA. So moving over to the deck, this is it. So we're raising 5.5. That includes all the funds needed for the expansion. 10% preferred return, aiming for 24.3% IRR, and 50% is the estimated bonus depreciation that we plan to take in year 2024, because that will be dropping on January 1st. So we're trying to get that while we can. That's just kind of a little explainer. A lot of this is repeated in the deck that I just showed you. 6 resort lots, expansion plans, KOA agreement expiring in February 2026. So let's see. Yeah, so 1.5 years. Just some more pictures, expansion plans. Just outside of Kalispell. We're keeping the management in place. It's a really, really strong team. But normally, if we were buying a park that was not near another park, we would need to add our additional management in on top of that. But since we have the park an hour and a half away, which I said in the email, that's the perfect distance for us. We won't need to do that. So you'll usually see on our pro formas that we take a year one hit from adding in that management oversight, which will not be the case with this park. I think a lot of you have been on previous webinars before or seen them or read the decks. So I'm not a big fan on really pushing like the size of the industry or the industry growth, just because I feel like that's what people do when they don't have other things that are better, more specific to that asset class to talk about. But of course, we are very bullish on the RV sector in general. People are going outside more and more. The pendulum is swinging more away from screen time and more towards outdoor time. National and state park attendance has been soaring, and we've got good experience in the space. This will be park number 23, and we love buying campgrounds that are near a destination. The plan A is always short-term rentals, for $50 to $150 per night. Plan B is always long-term rentals. If or when the economy dips, you can convert the parks to be a more stable cash flowing asset that are less profitable, but less headache and more stable. So most of our parks are in the Southeast. There's 2 in South Central Oklahoma, just north of me. Those are managed by the same person. And then this will be the second in Montana. We do have a strong track record with our investors. We've never missed an LP payment. The whole strategy with all of our parks is to refinance in 2 to 3 years. We've never done that yet. We haven't had a need to, with rates being where they are. We have received refinance term sheets from banks that are Oh, someone's trying to join. That are favorable, but it's just it financially doesn't make sense for us to refinance yet. Was there a question? Okay, never mind. So that's the whole strategy is to return LP capital, all or most of it within 3 years, but keep them in the deal and stay in the deal for a total of 5 years or more. A lot of that depends on a potential offer, a potential exit, but we don't plan to sell off individual parks piecemeal because you capture more value when you keep it under the same management umbrella. Um, okay, this is basically what I just said. The other terms,
Can you use your
yeah.
ways for me, Aaron? I got it. Okay.
Okay,
Thanks. Where
would
we
you
go?
mind muting your mic?
Which airport?
Let's see.
Hobby.
Is that Tom? Hey, Tom. Let me see if I can do that. All right, Tom should be muted now. Okay, so these are the terms of the deal: 10% preferred return, which if you're new to LP investing, that means that 100% of the return goes to you up until 10%. After 10%, it's split 70-30 in favor of you. After 15%, 60-40, and after 20%, 50-50. So this is just a screenshot of the pro formas, which account for the value add that we're doing. So at an exit cap rate of 8%, we are assuming here that we would exit this park in tandem with other parks, which would drive the cap rate down. We are buying it at a 10 cap today. So this is what the returns would look like at an exit cap rate of 8%. And if we increase the cash flow from, I think it was about 500 last year, give or take, to these. So the 64 pads would be added in here and the tiny homes slash cabins. And we are expecting the expense ratio to drop over time as we reach more economies of scale. But 43% on day one is pretty good from what we've seen from other parks. This is what distributions would look like if you invested 100,000. It is a minimum of 50,000 accredited only. So you can see it jumps up quite a bit there after we add the pad sites, and then return of capital in this case would be in 2027 upon a refinance or a sale. Refinance in this case, a sale in this case. Yeah. So that is basically it. I'm going to go to the chat to see if there's any questions. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I wanted to share. Yep, that's it. All right, let me stop screen sharing. All right, 7 questions. Let's see. So, all right, I got ahead of myself. Let's start at the top. Is this park actually on a reservation? Google Maps seems to think it is on Flathead Reservation. I'm not sure, Jeff, but let me find out. I do know that we've looked at other parks on reservations, and it's not the deal breaker that people might think. All right, I will send that out in an email. So the upside downside of a KOA, 6% fee is the downside. Upside is theoretically more visibility. It's a franchise, right? And having the trust, the brand name of a KOA behind you, a lot of serial travelers prefer staying at KOAs. That's where they go to first. Like I said, the thesis is just it's spotty depending on what part of the country you're in and what park it is. So. What do the improvements look like for this park? It seems pretty stable with higher rents. It's just building out the expansion. Yes. We don't plan to add any more amenities. There's not really much you could add. We're simply expanding the park. Explain the motor coach sites and the HOA issue. The deal is for 10 of the 60 sites there and 100% of the KOA sites. only some of the motor coach sites. Will you be a minority owner there? Um, I'm not sure, Travis. I'm going to read that again. But yes, the deal is for 10 the 10 motor coach sites. There's only 10 and all of the KOA sites. What's the risk in only some of the motor coach sites? I'll get more like I tried to answer that question fully before this call, but it's still not clear to me personally. So I'll try to get more clarity on that. I just know that four are not transferring, six are, and that we have the right to purchase the four post close, um, unless they uh, have a super majority vote against us, which would be 9 out of 10. After the expansion, what's the expected? Let me write that down before I forget to answer that. After the expansion, what's the expected slash estimated increase in revenue in the first year? So I might have gotten to that after you asked the question. Um, but I'm going to go back to that page of the deck. So the increase of top line revenue after the expansion would be about $500,000. Um, and bottom line, that would at the same expense ratio or at a similar expense ratio, it would be an increase of 400,000, a little under 400,000. And so if I break that down, let me just break that down real quick. So if we're at $100 per night, um, 700, all right, so $500,000. Give me just a second. So that's an extra on a yearly basis, that's an extra $1,300 per night. So basically, we're assuming 13 at $100 per night. We're assuming 13 out of 64 occupancy on a year-round basis. So what's that, 20%? It's 20% yearly occupancy assumption on the first year on the additional pads only. Um, and they're probably baking in some occupancy growth on the existing pad, so it's probably a little less than that, maybe 18%. It's probably going to be closer to 5 to 10% in the wintertime, and 30 to 40, 50% in the summertime. So fairly conservative. And then that's the first year, and then it goes up 450,000 after that, and then it starts to stabilize. Uh, Goes up another 70,000 and then another 70,000 per year after that. So basically, big bumps on year one and year two, and then more stable occupancy growth in years three and four, more similar to what we've been seeing over the last 3 or 4 years. Closing is late October, early November, I believe. Um, we've got some time on this. It's Q4 close. Minimum is 50K. How many expansions have you guys successfully completed to date? Any unexpected challenges slash taking longer than expected? We have done, let's see, Tennessee, Newport, I believe 5 expansions with like another 12 in the pipeline underway right now. And it depends on if you're counting like adding more units to existing pad sites or actually adding new pad sites. Um, I believe 5, but I'm going to get an exact number for you. And to answer the second part of your question, let me get to that in a sec. Yes, there are always unforeseen delays and difficulties, but our expansion guy, Joe D. Dykes, is super, super competent, super good. He works a ton. He's been in land development for 30 years. He spent time living in RV parks and developing RV parks. RV parks, they're all he knows. So he's super good. Um, we did have an issue with our second park ever in the expansion side of it because the electrical was under capacity. And so we had to spend 20 or 30 grand to fix that. And now we do a lot more thorough electrical inspections. Um, so, developing and expanding is always tricky, but we're confident uh, with the system that we built so far. Are you able to use the same contractors as Moose Creek? How is the Moose Creek expansion going? The answer is yes. We will be using the same contractors, and the expansion is it might be the best expansion we've done so far. We didn't plan to do anything this year. You can go back and look at my webinar, and we said, we don't want to do anything this year because it is a seasonal park, so we don't want to rock the boat too much. We were going to add the Ever Rooms, um, which are like a tiny home luxury concept. They're $150,000 each, but we found a cheaper concept. And we actually bought more of the exact same cabins that they already had on site. They were 50 grand. And we added two in like the first 4 months, and they are crushing it. And then we bought the land next door that came with two Airbnbs. We closed on that. Those are being rented out the majority of the time. And then we've added primitive campsites, and we're in the process of adding more pad sites to the land that we got next door. But that's still very early on. So it's ahead of schedule, but we also haven't done a lot of the extra hard stuff yet. So, Lane, the deck, I sent the deck out in the email. I linked to it, but I'm going to link to it again in the follow-up email. And also, the deck I sent out was outdated. I need to update that. You show the pro forma again. Look like you were modeling very large year-over-year gains in net income. Curious what is driving those. So, I think you answered that right before I talked about that. Let me go ahead and show it again. Let's see. All right, hold on. I think I'm doing this right. So, yes, the year-over-year gains are large after we add those pad sites, and then they stabilize after that. All right. Just want to get a good look at that. I'll just keep answering questions while I leave that on the screen. Are you personally investing in this deal as an LP? And if so, how much? Yes, Trip, I am. We invest 10% as co-GPs into every deal. That varies how much we each invest, depending on how much we like the deal, how much money we have at any given time. So I'm not sure how much I will be investing, but it will be five figures, not six, maybe 20 or 50 grand, somewhere in there. It also depends on what my partners are investing uh, because, yeah, 10% is only so much. When we invest as co-GPs, it is at the LP terms. I skipped a question. Does KOA have to approve any expansion plans? Yes, and they have already approved these expansion plans because they're already drawn up. Um, Okay. I think I've got everything. Do we have any other questions before I end this? I'm happy to ask or answer, and you're welcome to take yourself off mute now that I'm done. We could do that as well. So, as I said before, we're not closing for a while. There's not really a sense of urgency on this, but um, John told me that we do have one of our big Moose Creek investors that might want to take a big chunk of this. So it really just depends on what other investors do. But there's outside of that, outside of it just filling early, we're not closing for a while. So it's a good bit of time on this. And that's probably not a very good sales pitch. I should tell you that we're almost full. We're 95% of the way there, but nope. Um, any questions? Looks like there's one more. Estimated expansion cost. It is, I believe, 12,000 per pad. So 770,000. I could be wrong there, but it's directionally accurate. Um, Oftentimes we see twice that or more when we have to add septic, sewer, water. electrical, all that. We do have to add electrical here, but that's the big expense. And if I'm wrong about that, I will send a correction. And I asked Joe D that exact question before we hopped on this, but he has not responded yet. I tried to get ahead of that one. All right. Any other questions? How confident are you that there is increased demand at Flathead Lake? That's a good question. It's interesting because, you might look at this logically at any park and say, well, why would you ever expand a park that is not 100% full all the time? And what we've noticed with our previous parks is it's kind of like a Parkinson's law. When you have when you add more pad sites, you're able to bring the price down on all of the pad sites, and you almost always, unless you don't meet your pro formas, net out ahead. And so, because of the fact that there are only 6 cabins here, and the cabins at our park an hour and a half away are doing the best, we see a lot of upside with adding cabins instead of just 64 pads like the original owners have drawn up. So we see more upside there because the cabins are staying full, and we're seeing that to be true at Moose Creek as well. Furthermore, it will give us room to drop the rents and increase the occupancy percentage at a slightly lesser rent as well. So outside of that, we have done our due diligence in calling the parks in the area. A lot of them are full with a waiting list. But at the end of the day, anytime you expand a park, there's going to be the risk of occupancy not being what you had expected. But these park owners haven't really been marketing it much. They're not doing paid ads. They're relying on KOA. And so we're confident that when we pull the levers that we normally pull after closing, we'll further be able to increase occupancy, especially once those additional pad sites are added. Um, there's currently a management team in place. How many employees do they have, and how many do you expect to add on after the expansion? So all of these parks are managed by Blue Metric, and Blue Metric has in Nashville 30 to 40 employees. But we don't plan to add any additional employees at the park level for this park. We just plan to keep everyone that's there, and then our Moose Creek manager to double up on this one. Let me go look at real quick to answer that question more fully. So it looks like 28 employees. Do you need additional approval since original expansion plans were for pads and now you want to do more cabins? That's a good question. I'm going to ask that. I'm going to write that down. Flathead Lake and Glacier Park. Yes, we love the area as well. We went to Glacier as a family a couple years ago, and it was a highlight of our trip, which is saying a lot because we went to all 50 states that summer, and Glacier and Tahoe and Arches and Zion's. Those are all top 5 for us. We love the West. Um, Okay, so the questions I have to get back to you on are, is this on a reservation? More clarity on the 10 sites. How many expansions exactly have we done so far? And do we need additional approval for cabins since only pads are planned right now? Um, okay, well, thank you all. If we don't have any other questions, I will send out this recording and I'll get the answers to these questions as soon as I can. But you can also email me, chris@cofounders.com, or you can book a call with me. Just email me and I'll send you a link to book a one-on-one call. Happy to chat with you guys one-on-one as well. So thank you for your time and we'll see you around.